G'day guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape, a podcast where we chat to people doing rad things in the mountain bike industry. This episode is a rad one where we talk to one of the biggest filmmakers, biggest up and coming filmmakers in the industry, even though he's been filming for quite a long time. Before we jump into that one though, let's have a chat about the supporters of this podcast. For this episode, we've got Franked Mountain Bike Apparel, some of the most comfortable, most durable, and most affordable mountain bike apparel we will ever get on the market. Absolutely love their stuff. We've got Shred Bike Care, keeping my bike clean and protected. Their Cerakote coating that you can just apply to your bike. Man, that stuff is a godsend. It just keeps the bike clean and protected all the time. Fist Handwear, their new chapter just dropped and it's absolute fire. Make sure you get your hands into some of their gloves, keep them protected, keep some extra grip. And their new Breezer gloves breathe really well in this hot weather we've been experiencing. Lead Out Sports offer some of the best tools on the market. Absolutely loving the Pedro stuff lately. Super affordable, super strong, and just works. Absolutely love their stuff. Make sure you head out to Lead Out Sports website and check out their gear. Capped Out Caps are keeping my head stem attached while looking really cool. Their custom caps are absolutely amazing. And Oakley, Australia, man, my eyes are protected day, night. Don't know why I'm wearing my sunnies at night, but any conditions, anytime, the Oakley glasses, absolutely loving them. Anyway, let's move on to this episode with Stu Thompson, aka Bikebot. He is an up and coming in the mountain bike industry, I guess, in some ways, but being a commercial videographer, shot skating, shot snowboarding, done a bit of everything really, shot movies, documentaries. We chat about everything from his past, his current work, and what his plans are in the future. Anyway, for the second episode of 2024, as per usual, grab beer, grab a water, grab a wine, and enjoy this podcast. Oh, don't forget to grab whatever makes you happy as well. Let's say.
Yeah, it all gets a bit like it. It's hard enough to keep up with like just cameras by themselves, and then you try and chuck audio in there as well. It's impossible to keep on top of.
Oh, like even just Audio Technica, like even their like earbuds, they're fucking like carve in numbers now.
Yeah, yeah,
it's so huge. Ridiculous.
And they're all got like slightly different, pros and cons to the other ones. It's just it's too hard to keep up with.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's
about the same for everything in the film industry. Everything's moving. Well, it's really in any industry. Like it just keeps on. Like DJI drones, a new drone that's sicker than the next one every 3 months. You're just like, oh, I've got a new drone I should need to get because the other one's outdated now.
As I found one up on the ledge yesterday when I was shooting for the tour at the tour. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was fucked. Like completely.
Like you were on a ledge, like on a building or something?
No, on a cliff. Like on a, high up on a cliff. And I just looked down, like I'd been sitting there for 2 hours and then just looked down. I'm like, oh, it's a drone. But it was completely just got pile drived into the side of the cliff just above me. So I just left it there. But yeah.
They're pretty disposable. Those things, like I crash them pretty regularly, hey? I'm not really much of a drone guy. Never was.
I'm not a huge fan, I won't lie.
Of using them or like the shots and stuff?
Just the shots.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they're just overused.
Definitely overused. I see them as like there's a place for them. They're good in some times, but yeah, too many of them are ridiculous. FPV stuff's kind of cool in some contexts as well. But then again, that gets pretty overused as well. But fuck, that can look so amazing when like, especially in motocross like stuff where people are just boosting through the air and the drone's like going around them. Oh, it's just fucking crazy. Like I don't know how they don't just destroy drones. I guess because they're so light, they can take a knock and just fall out of the sky and they're fine.
Have you seen any of the FPV drifting stuff?
Yeah, like with car. Yeah. That's so cool.
That's sick. That's the only way you can kind of get some experience of how good it is.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love. I'm really into like using drones for. I haven't like done heaps of it myself, but I'm getting into it. Like flash photography from drones, you know, that
Yeah,
JB
man.
Latar dude. That shit's mind blowing. Honest, like all I want to do is that. That looks so cool. That painting with light, and then the opposite when you have a light on the drone and you shoot the like your long exposure of the drone. It's like a circle around
Mm,
something. Oh, love that shit so much. Wish I had the time to do it. But yeah, no, big lights on big drones, and then you're filming the rider, and
mm.
like the drones lighting them from the top. Oh, get me some of
There's
that.
there's like a photo. I think it was Semenuk when he did one of his Utah segments, and he's boosting out of this like quarter pipe.
Yeah,
Fucking
it's a flash from the top.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
so cool.
you there?
Yeah, still here? Hello? Not working at all?
I don't know what happened there. My audio just cut out. Um,
You hear all that rustling if I'm touching my lapel mic?
yeah.
Uh,
Something
cool.
went weird on my end. Yeah, there's a photo of Semenuk, and he's like boosting out of this quarter, and they've
Mm,
just lit it from down with this,
yeah,
and it's just
it's such a
perfect.
yeah, it's such a crazy like perspective and a different perspective that hasn't really like only in the last couple of years has it been possible to do that. It just looks so good. I love it. Right into it. I want
Uh,
to.
you want to get into it?
Yeah, I want to. I just. Well, I'd love to do it more in the film sense, like video. But yeah, I'm going to get into it for doing photos for starters, and then figure out because having a drone that's big enough to hold a big enough light to light a rider is one of those big sort of like octocopter fucking things that yeah like and you need bigger licenses for that, and I don't even know what the deal is there. It all gets a bit messy with licenses for flying drones these days.
Dude, it's impossible.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you're breaking rules for sure.
I'm shooting a car park race tomorrow. So like
Yeah.
roadie event. They sprint up an indoor car park.
Oh
Um,
yeah, cool.
it's sick. They'll have DJs
Yeah.
at like the top, and it's gonna have beers, and there'll be like 1,000 people in a car park cheering. Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
And they wanted to get an FPV drone in there. And I'm like, it's not going to happen, man. Like everyone I
Yeah.
talk to is just like, no, we
Yeah.
can't. It's too close to everyone.
Yeah, too close, and like the second that like the drone gets like 2 levels above the person, I don't think they're going to get any signal through the floor or anything.
True.
They might, I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, might only work for like 1 level at a time. But yeah, like when it's only 2 foot above the head to the roof,
Yeah.
someone's getting hit with a drone at high speed.
Are you happy to keep just kind of going along this path and just
Yeah, man.
keep
Yeah,
going?
keep chatting. Yeah.
Um, well, might as well let people know who you are. Just give us a brief overview of who you are and what you do.
My name's Stu Ross, and I am a filmmaker, I guess. Like I've always been into cameras, and I currently run a video production company. The name's sort of Robot Army, but we've got a lot of sort of trading names underneath that. We've got Bikebot, which you guys probably know me as, and that's what we'll talk about. But we got Milk Video, which is sort of like our corporate arm where we milk the corporate teat to get our money. And Robot Army is where we do our sort of bigger film and TV projects, and then Bikebot's sort of my passion side of things, which currently I'm sinking a lot of my energy and spare time into to try and make it, the main source of income. I don't know how, I haven't really figured that part out yet, but I'm just loving creating. Yeah, like I lost the passion for filmmaking a little while ago, and then found it again in the bike space, which has been cool.
I was going to say, like, as a high end, well, I guess you would be a pro mountain bike videographer. You have to have a 9 to 5. What do you do? Like,
Yeah,
it's always
exactly.
that little joke, right?
Yeah, there's definitely not really people out there that are solely shooting mountain biking and making a living off it. But it's good. Like it's sort of. So I've got a business partner who I've been with for nearly 15 years now, and we've both got our sort of like our avenues of what we're passionate about, and they are not necessarily in filmmaking, but we're making like he's currently really into Warhammer, so he's making like a documentary about Warhammer, and like he's doing these live shows and stuff, all hella nerdy stuff, which I give him heaps of shit for. But yeah, like we're just we've built a pretty successful company that works in the background. We've got a team of sort of 6 of us working for it, during the week, and then when we find the time, we do the fun stuff that we really want to do. So it's good. I like to say it's a good balance, but to do the fun bike stuff, which doesn't really at this point bring in a lot of money, it's usually just late night editings and weekend shoots and stuff. Like, it's not like I'm getting paid for that stuff, or but it gives me the ability to do it, which is cool.
To have like 6 people in a video company, like all helping out, that's a pretty big operation in the scheme of things, right?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I'm not really, don't really compare to too many other people, but like, we've sort of fluctuated between like 5, never been less than sort of 4 or 5, and we got up to 9 like during COVID. During COVID, we got like crazy busy. It was like, so one of our major sort of, parts of the business is animation. We do heaps of animation. So like most of the guys are targeted to that kind of stuff. So the NDIS, which is a disability insurance agency, they had during COVID like the need to sort of pump out heaps of information really quickly. So we got a lot of work through that, and that's the best kind of work, because it's just sort of like you have a designer doing the designs, animator animating it, and that no one leaves the office. There's not hard costs and travel and accommodation to go do a shoot, actors, all that bullshit. It's just 2 people chained to their desk for a week and they turn over heaps of money. So like we did heaps of that stuff and got really busy, and then we blew out and needed like 9 of us for a little while there, and then that was kind of like a weird sort of recession kind of thing after COVID, where it's sort of everyone was a bit scared, and I don't know, it's been weird ever since then, as to it hasn't been steady, but it's sort of been really busy and then not, and then so enough people like have no marketing budgets or they're scared to spend. But yeah, so it's like it's good. It's really good. I'm not saying that the work we do in milk is the coolest work, but it's what pays the bills, which is good.
Do you need to keep the passion projects like bikes or Warhammer or whatever people are doing to kind of keep stoked with what you're doing? Because you're doing what you love, and that's supposed to be like you never work a day in your life, but it can also just kill your passion. So it's like, do you have to balance it out with what you're doing?
Definitely. Like, I think I remember like a time like 15 years ago when I like decided to not get into filmmaking, because I've kind of always been into it. And I was like, I really don't want it to like kill my, like, doing it for a living and doing this sort of corporate side of things where there's good money and there's, always work. I was worried that it was going to take that sort of passion away, but I was like, oh no, I can just keep doing stuff on the side and do the fun stuff that I really want to do. And it's been like up and down. Like, like there's been sections where I've been so busy for the corporate stuff that I can't do any passion stuff, and you feel it and you start to hate it. But yeah, like being able to come back to the passion stuff, it like definitely helps get through the boring stuff. Really, like yeah.
Starting like filming 15 years ago, what were you shooting on? Like a film camera with those big reels on the top, or like?
No. Well, it was actually way longer than that. Like, it was probably, so like I got into mountain biking when I was like 12, 13, 14, or like BMX and mountain biking, ride his bikes then. Then I got into skating, and from then I was into skating real hard for like till I was like 19, and then got into snowboarding and started traveling and stuff. But I'd always like had a camera, like my parents' camera. I didn't get into it at film time. I was more like mini DV tapes.
Yeah, sick.
So always like, you have the capture card, the computer, you got to like fucking scroll through and like hit log and then stop and then name the clip, and it's a nightmare of a gig. But so still all digital, but so I missed the film stuff. I actually never really ever shot on a film camera, unfortunately. Like, I've done stills and stuff, but never really got the opportunity to, so I'd be keen to. But yeah, always sort of been there. And then that sort of led into, I was always filming skating and filming my mates and that kind of thing, but never really did anything with the footage. Just sort of did it because, you've got to film your tricks or did they even happen? Yeah. Even back then when there was no social media, it was still like, no, you have to, you're working this year to film this video part to show to people, which never did anything with. And then it's like the YouTube becoming a thing. Sounds so old saying that. Yeah, YouTube becoming a thing. But that changed everything. It's like, oh, now you've got somewhere to put your video, put your shit videos that no one's going to pay $40 at the skate shop for, but you've got somewhere to put your shit videos. so yeah, like doing that was then got into snowboarding and like got into filming snowboarding stuff, and that was really cool, and got to travel a little bit with that.
Sick.
But it was very much, it's sort of, I was talking to someone about it the other day, like it's the same thing as any industry that's like, you know, people are passionate about, like skateboarding, BMX, snowboarding, like the filmmaking side of things, there's always going to be someone else that wants to do it for free. So I could never transition the snowboard stuff into making money. Like it was just sort of like, nah, you know, I got to go on a couple of trips to Japan and like a couple of other trips filming. And then the next couple of trips came up and they're like, oh, yeah, it's just, you know, free travel and stuff. I'm like, oh, can I get paid? And they're like, oh, no, we got old mate down the road who's 16. He'll come for free and do it for free. So, yeah. So I got sick of that. And that's sort of like at a good time where I met my now business partner, and he's like, hey, I'm doing some corporate stuff on the side. You should come do it with me. And I think the first thing we did was the local school has like a local performing arts centre has a festival where all the primary schools from around the region come in and perform. We're just sitting there like, had to dress up nice and like pointing 2 DSLRs at the stage and just like filming fucking 10 days straight of kids singing bloody, I don't know what. It's terrible.
What a baptism by fire, eh? Into the corporate world.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't that. So when we decided to become business partners was when he knew I was filming and I knew he was filming because he was working with my wife at the time. And he's like, oh, I've got this job. Do you reckon Stu would want to come to my wife? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. He's not really doing anything at the moment. And it was like filming a Jeep pro golf tour.
Yeah, right.
And they'd fly us up to like nice golf courses on the Gold Coast, and we'd be there for 3 days, and we'd just have to film the golf stuff happening from like 8 till 12, and then like one event they have in the evening. And then in between that, we'd just get to like drink and like play poker with the pro golfers and drive around. It's just was the best gig. That was, what's the opposite of like baptism by fire? It was like a luxury baptism. It was delicious. Yeah. Yeah. So that was that, and then you come into doing all the shit stuff. Yeah.
Were you shooting with like was it the Sony XV1000, like that classic?
No, I
skate?
never had one of that. What did I have? I had the VX one, the Sony VX1000. That's a classic skate cam.
Yeah.
No, I never had one of them. I had like I don't know, like a shitty Canon sort of thing, and then like a lot of friends had VXs, and they're still the coolest thing ever. Like to this day, they still look cool as shit. I did a project with the Baxter, and he's like, oh, let's do the filming with the VX1000 with a light on it. I'm like, oh, that's so skate. It's got a fisheye, and he's just like the whole, like one of his sections in his vid's going to have like full VX footage.
Sick.
But no, I never got one. I then bought I remember buying a digital camera, like the first, shooting on SD cards. And I took it to the skate park, and the other guy who was kind of like the other filmmaker in town, and he was like, your camera films on SD cards, that's gas. And I was like, what?
That's full skate, like skate park.
Yeah. He's like, it doesn't do tape, so it's not cool. I'm like, it's 720p, man. What are you talking about? You're only on that 576 shit, or whatever it is. No, it's not even 576. It's maybe
you remember what it was, but
standard def, yeah.
But like,
funny.
I remember there was like a phase. Everyone wanted that XV1000 with the fisheye.
Yeah,
and like,
so good.
Yeah, they stopped the fisheye lens, and then they had a petition to bring it back. Like millions of people petitioned to bring it back. Yeah, it was wild.
And then they built the I can't remember what the actual. There was a Panasonic one. I think it was called the HVX, something like that. But it was basically the same sort of looking camera, full digital shot on these P2 cards that were like these huge big cards, and like that. And then it had the Century optics, like big ass. It was the same brand. I think the fisheyes you always had on the VX1000s, and it was just like this big thing that they had 50mm rails at the bottom. It was huge. It looked so cool. And Ty Evans was always killing it on those things.
And you could just point it in the general direction of what was happening, and you got it. It was fine. Yeah.
I am one of the videos I'm doing with Baxter, I'm going to get out pretty soon. Because he had that sort of section where he's filming with a fisheye on the VX. He's like, "Oh, I'd love to film fisheye stuff for that." So I got a fisheye. I think I found it on Marketplace, like $150. I'm like, "Oh, I'll just buy it and fuck around with it." And yeah, I filmed heaps of stuff on the fisheye for this section. It was awesome. It was like getting back to my skate days, like doing all the like, yeah, it's
So
fun.
good.
It's a fun way to film too. Like it's just sort of like, you just sort of like move it real like quick and abrupt, and it gets these cool like just changing of angles and perspectives and stuff. It's really cool.
It's so sick.
Yeah.
How did I guess like why did you start filming though? Like was it literally just you wanted to film or
Yeah, I don't. I feel like there was like I always filmed skating stuff from like 16 to like 20, mid 20s kind of thing. But I didn't really, because I only got into like, only started the business, like I'm 38 now, like started the business when like 15 years ago or so. So I was like 23 or whatever, 24. And fuck, that maths is probably not right there, but whatever, doesn't matter.
close enough?
It's close enough.
It's a Friday. No one cares about maths.
Yeah, yeah. Who cares? Who cares how old he is? So I feel like there were two different things. There was like filming skating and growing up doing that. I wasn't like into filmmaking. I was just into filming skating, like from a documenting the tricks, trying to go and do a trick or whatever. But then I sort of started to get into a little bit more, and then I went to Austria on like a snowboard trip, and like all the snow trips I was doing prior to that, I was like taking this little camera, a little fisheye, and just filming stuff. But again, just for the purpose of filming tricks, not really like art or anything, however you want us to call it. And then I fractured a vertebrae over there and ended up in the hospital. I was in the hospital for like 15 days and got medically evacuated home. It was all like it was overkill, but because it was all like through the travel insurance, they had to like, send nurses over to get me and like 6 seats across the back of the plane, flap down, like stretch it up and shit. It cost so much money, but yeah, because it was all insurance, it was all like had to be serious and above board. So when I got back from that trip, I was meant to be in Austria for like 6 weeks and then like Tahoe for a couple of weeks. It was meant to be the last time I was going to like leave my wife. It wasn't my wife at the time, but my missus for a very long period of time. Like I was gone for like 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So I got home. I was like, this is the last trip I was going to do. So I had all this money saved up. I was like, I'm not going to. I mean, and the crash like rattled me. So I was kind of like confidence, like as far as everyone thinks they're going to be a pro snowboarder or skateboarder when they're young. So I was like, I'm still going to try real hard, get real far. But it rattled my confidence a bit. So I was like, I'll buy a camera and I'll get into. I was hanging out with a lot of the sort of people who were quite good at riding snowboards and stuff. So I did that. And I realised I was looking directly into the camera then. I didn't mean to do that because it was just standing there in the background. Probably really weird for people watching. And that's when I kind of like got really into it and went, oh, this is actually sick. I like everything about filming, not just the filming the tricks, but like, the art, the editing, like the whole shebang kind of thing. And yeah, that was probably like mid 20s. And that's when I really like sunk in and started filming snowboarding really crazy, and then got into the sort of corporate space and lost the ability to film snowboarding just because not enough time or money, but yeah, it wasn't really till I've done some cool things since then, like done like some bigger documentary projects. Had like a TV show that my business partner wrote and directed, and we put on ourselves, and it got bought by Netflix and did a Netflix run, and yeah, it was all pretty cool. Got like it went fully viral for a while there. We had like 60 million views on one clip. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, right.
It was like a sitcom about working in retail, which is where my business partner worked with my wife. So it was all like quite sort of relatable. But yeah, I think it was because such a relatable subject. And then I did a documentary for Discovery Channel on heard stories of like big cats in the Australian bush, like black panthers. You've heard those stories, yeah. So I did a documentary on a couple of guys down my way that have dedicated their life to trying to prove it. So I sort of spent like they're old dudes, like they're probably like mid 60s, 70s, and they're just like had spent the last 40 years just almost all their spare time out in the bush investigating stuff. And so I did a little piece on that, and that was kind of like keeping me going. Like, I want to be a documentary filmmaker and I want to do all this kind of stuff. And and it wasn't until like that finished up, and that wasn't the greatest experience in like the end, because it was sort of the Discovery Channel and the other sort of people who funded the film tried to like change it and make it a bit more of a, you should just do crash zooms into the bushes and just, in post put some eyes in the bushes and make it so they saw the cat. And then I'm like, what the fuck? This is not like, I was making a genuine human interest documentary about these guys who are very interesting to to do this, and it's sort of, they wanted to make it bad. So I left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, I don't know what I'm not going to do another documentary. It's too much work, and I was probably 4 years of my life sunk into that. And then almost the same time I got back into bike riding. Like I bought a bike and went, I actually forgot that I loved bike riding. And since then I've been like riding heaps and going ham on Bikebot stuff. Like like this year, got a plan this year. It's just going to be super big for Bikebot, and if that doesn't work out, then I don't know, I'll probably jump onto something else next year. No, I won't. I think I'm going to do this as long as I keep liking bikes. That's for sure.
How do you sell? Like, you just gloss over it, but how does something from Netflix come along, or like you just in National Geographic or something? Like, I love how you gloss over that stuff, but how's that stuff going to come about?
Well, so Rostodon's the name of the show that got bought by Netflix. So my business partner wrote it. He's always been like passionate about writing, and he's a comedy dude. So he wanted to write a show about the horrific years he spent working at JB Hi-Fi and all the bullshit that everyone has had experience with in retail or hospitality or anything customer facing.
Can relate. Real hard.
Everyone's got a story. And I think that's why it went so well, especially like in the viral, like just small videos, because everyone, like particularly the demographic that uses social media, like they all work in retail, or at the time. So he wrote it, and he's like, "Oh, can we film it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like we've got everything we need to do such a thing. We just don't have actors. So we put out like a call out on Star Now, which is like the poor man's sort of like acting service, but it's amazing, and it's got it's the kind of place you put a call out for 14-year-old girl that needs to be a gymnast, and you'll get like an 80-year-old dude who wants to get into acting. Going, I'd love that role. And you're like, what the fuck, mate? You're not even close. So it's a bit of a mess. But so he's like, let's do it, let's shoot it, and so we shot like a little scene for it, and we walked away from the day going, it's actually pretty awesome. He's like, I reckon if I wrote like 3 more scenes and we did 1 more day, we could shoot like an actual pilot episode. So we're like, fuck it, we'll just do that. So we did that. And then we just went, well, got a season written for it. Let's just make it. Let's just do it. And we got so many people helping us out for like nothing. Like it was one of the most intense shoots ever. We did it in 6 days, like 7 episodes, 10 minutes each, something like that. In this shop, like a small ass shop in a shopping centre, like an indoor shopping centre. So like there was no door to the thing. We just had to like put down, or there was like one of those plastic doors with holes in it. So we had to put up shit like sound blankets, and then wood over the top, and then sound blankets to try and deaden whatever we could put outside. And then we just shot like for like 18-hour days back to back. Like I was the camera operator, gaffer, first, like everything. And we shot this thing that was super ghetto but hilarious, and the world seemed to love it. And I don't even know how it got onto Netflix, but Ryan, my business partner, went to LA he wasn't going for that, but like he had a meeting with Netflix with another guy he was trying to produce a show with, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we've seen your show. Like we'd love to." At that time, like it had been going pretty gangbusters online. Like it had like Comedy Central had posted a video, or like the kind of like 3-minute trailer thing we did of it that was just all the funny lines in one go. And that got like, 60 million views. And like across all the shit we'd posted online, it was like 360 million views or something ridiculous. Shit. It was like super legit viral. And they're like, let's buy it and put it online. So we did that. And, that sounds like it's heaps of money, which, it was somewhat a lot of money. I can't remember the exact figure, but it was something like think for 2 years it was like maybe $90,000 or something like that, which is it probably cost us about $60,000 to make
Mm.
in like wages and hard costs and stuff, which hurt a bit at the time. But because of the nature of the business, we've got me, like, I shot it, so it's kind of just like my salary just kind of comes out of it, and the people who edited it, like Ryan edited a bit in his own time, and then the people who edited it are on salaries here and doing other stuff in the meantime. So it's not that brutal, but it's still like cost us a shitload of money. But we didn't pay anyone because it was everyone's like wanted, like they're all sort of friends and friends of friends, and we told them like we're just making this because we want to, and they wanted to be involved. So when you license to someone like Netflix, everything has to be above board. Everyone has to be contracted properly. So we then pretty much most of the money that we got from Netflix over the course of those 2 years went to pay the actors, because we weren't legally allowed to sell it if they hadn't been paid properly.
Fair.
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah, so that still has like a big deficit to us. Like we still haven't got paid our money, but happy to let that one slide. So yeah, but it was cool to have a show on Netflix, and that opened a lot of doors for a lot of other things that we got to do, and again, like allowed us to get funding for a second season of that as well. So we did a second season of that show, which Channel 7 funded. So all these, so Channel 7 and Screen Australia. So Screen Australia sort of does co-productions with other, either networks or other sort of, places like Netflix and stuff, video on demand. So we got that funded. We shot a second season of that, and that was sort of like, I think I mean, this stuff's totally Ryan's. Like I'm just the DP that shoots it. And like I'm a producer because I run the company with him, so it's my money and his money together. So by proxy, I'm a producer. But it's the same way that Bikebot, he's got no idea what's going on in Bikebot and doesn't care. Doesn't care. Like it's my thing. Rostodon's his thing. So let's just stop talking about it now. But we got to do a second season of that, and we just recently did a third season of that.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. But that he said he walked away from that one saying not doing another one. It's done. Yeah.
But that's going to be like worth so much just in your your credits or your credibility.
Yeah,
what your skills are like now.
Definitely. It definitely helped. It was something that I'd never shot something like that before, and learned a lot doing it. And yeah, well, the main thing is that we now, with Screen Australia or Film Victoria or any of those sort of government filming bodies that fund things, we now have the credits to get our own funding for things. So to get the funding for my documentary, The Hunt, and the second season of Rostodon, we had to team up with a producer that had, runs on the board essentially, like someone who has credits in documentaries or had credits in sitcoms. And that was the only way we would be eligible for funding for those kind of, grants. But now that we've teamed up with those guys and done those things, we now have those credits, and we are now allowed to get funding for whatever we want. But that does not allow me to get any funding for bike stuff because I don't fund action sports related things. Yeah. Or they're very strict on branding, and so you can't go, oh, can you chuck in some money with Trek, who are sponsoring this thing? That's just not a thing. Yeah. I tried. I was like, oh, we get some money for some cool skate clips or some bike stuff, but not to happen, unfortunately.
I assume they want you to work with those people with credits and for you to have credits so that your money's just not getting pissed up a tree, right?
Pretty much. Like they're basically, it's like they're like dad, and they're just like saying, hey, you've got to, and the people we teamed up with are awesome. Like they're like the people who made Kath and Kim and Crackerjack. Like they're like OG producers from Melbourne, Steve Luby and Mark Roos, and they were exactly like that. Like they basically let us make the shit that we were doing because we were sort of like, it was our thing. But they were like, hey, do it this way. Here's the way you can save money. Here's the way you need to do this. We'll take care of all the financial reporting, but also if you wanted to be involved in that and learn, which did not want to learn, they not keen on that stuff. Basically it's so you don't piss away the government's money, and you spend it correctly and not go all out on one fireworks scene or some shit that costs $1 million and spend all the budget on one shot. But yeah, it's good that it's out there because it pumps in heaps of money into because obviously you get a couple $100,000 to make a show. It all goes into paying other filmmakers or other
Mm.
roles like gaffers and everyone to do the job with you. So it's awesome. It's not really a lot of money. It doesn't pay you in a normal sort of. It's like just base award wages, but still, it's getting paid to do it.
I thought all filmmakers and stuff like flew on jets and had helis to get to work and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. If if it's in the corporate world, yeah, fuck yeah, we fly on jets everywhere. But when it's some form of passion project, it's not. Yeah, there's no money in it. No, it's really weird because it's a really a really well paying job in the corporate space and in the commercial space, but the second it gets out of that space, there's not really a lot of money in it. And it's weird. I don't really know, especially because where the world's got to with how much they rely on content and how much it kind of drives everything. Like I guess because there's more people doing it now. It's not as sought after a skill. Everyone can
Mhm.
kind of do the bare minimum of making a video. Like we've seen it with the corporate stuff in the last 5-10 years. Like it's when we started, it was like we were the only people in our town that did it.
Mhm.
And then now there's heaps and like of varying sort of qualities as well, but still for the most part, the content that people pump out, you don't need the best quality or it's just which sucks, but it is what it is. So that's why I'm trying to keep making really high quality stuff and hopefully people see value in it.
It's yeah, it's funny you mentioned like everyone trying to get things done for cheaper and stuff. Like I worked at a company a few years back and like they wanted a filmmaker that could edit photos, do graphic design and animators and they wanted to pay 60K a year or something. I'm like, are you
Yeah.
drunk? Like
Yeah.
that's 4 uni degrees
Yeah.
or qualifications there. And it seems like some companies don't understand the actual value of what someone like you guys would do.
Yeah. No, not at all, man. It's horrible. And there's so much like the amount of times we just hear like, oh yeah, like you guys are expensive, but what if we'll do the filming part of it, and we'll just give you the footage and you can do the editing. It's like, yeah, or like what I love at the moment is like so many people are like, oh, can we? And this happened on COVID heaps. So people are like, can we just film it via Zoom and mix it with that footage that you guys shot before and put it all together? I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's just put your footage next to my footage, and you can just see them side by side and the audio and stuff. It's like and people don't realize until you do that and you put it side by side, like, oh yeah, it actually doesn't look anywhere close to the same. And they kind of go, oh, I see kind of like what you do here. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. But
Yeah.
everyone's like trying to cut corners and save money. And I'll film my phone or I'll get my niece to film it. He's got a camera. He's got a GoPro or something. That was sweet.
um, how did you throughout your career and up to now, but how have you learned those skills that come to such a value for those businesses? Like, did you go to school or you just school of hard knocks it?
A little bit. No, I when I left school, I went to do an advanced diploma of multimedia.
Okay.
And I went straight out of school and started that and did and at that point I've been filming stuff and playing around on computers with editing and shit. And the first 6 months were like really basic stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not really enjoying this. And my parents were like, oh, why don't you go overseas for a little bit? Like, why don't you go do a gap year or something? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'll give that a go. And I'd only been snowboarding once before that, but skateboarding forever. And I'll go to Canada for a gap year, and then just like boom, I didn't really settle down from snowboarding for like 5 years after that, just doing everything I could to snowboard as much as I can. So yeah, like I didn't really have, didn't go to school, didn't study filmmaking. When I broke my back in Austria and came back and bought the camera, that I kind of just like spent all my time just watching YouTube tutorials and doing basically, and just learning by doing really. Yeah, no, it's even this at the moment, or this day and age, is so much easier to take that approach. Like these people are like, oh, should I go to film school or whatever? And like, yeah, like that, education is really good, but it kind of doesn't really mean much. I mean, like it does. Like you learn so much there, but you also spend 3 years of your life learning about filmmaking instead of 3 years of your life just doing filming. And I feel like you kind of get out the end with a degree, but you kind of haven't really learnt that much. But not knocking any people that do that, because that's a genuine path that people do and it works really good for them. I think I was done with like studying and that kind of thing, so that's why I sort of did it this way. Lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
But the whole like YouTube university, I guess, is what people are calling it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's very, there's heaps of it there that like, it's like, even to this day, I'm just like I'm like, oh, that's how I learn a new thing. I just go, just YouTube, figure it out. And someone's done a tutorial on almost everything. So yeah, which is awesome. But that stuff wasn't around 10 years ago or not as much as it is now. 10 years ago when I really needed it, it was sort of like when I started in filmmaking, I was like, I had this HMC, Panasonic HMC 150. It's like a Super 35 sensor camera. And that was just when the 5D had come out. I'd been out for a couple of years, but it was just when everyone was just like losing their shit over full frame filming and like that 35mm look. It's just, and I was like, why doesn't my shit look like that? I couldn't figure it out. I didn't understand. But there wasn't a lot of stuff, compared to now, like online, to try and figure out why and how it looks different. It wasn't until I got a DSLR and figured out or I got a full frame camera that figured out why that was the case. But yeah, like it's just like there's lots of tutorials out there. Like I'm jealous of people that are getting into it now. And I'm jealous of people that get into it at like age 16, and like heaps of kids hit me up on Instagram. It's like, oh, how'd you do this? Or like, what's this asset? I'm just like, oh, here, tab the asset. I just got it for free online. Like, take it and run with it. And I'm like, oh, I wish that existed when I was. Oh, I wish I got into it at 15, 16. But I wish that existed when I'd started. That you could just hit up random people, because like I don't even think Instagram didn't exist when I got into it.
No, it would have been MySpace. It would have been in the top 6 friends or something. And
yeah, like that was a stressful time, having to choose your top 6 friends. Right?
It was easy for me, man. I didn't have 6 friends.
I was gonna say, back when I had I had more than 6 friends.
Yeah. Are you a full-blown tech head, or are you just kind of let your filming do the talking? Or
like, not really like super tech. Like I'm like, as far as what I'm into, it's just the camera side of things, cameras and lenses. I'm not really like super computer savvy. Like I'm not really like sound savvy at all. Like I'm into like the lighting side of things as well a lot. Like that's really, really big on that. I remember a time where I'm like, I don't like lighting. I want everything to look natural and that kind of thing. But then I figured out how to make stuff kind of look natural with lighting, which made life easier. But yeah, like you can get so bogged down on that tech stuff, and like it's a constantly evolving sort of list of specs that is way too hard to keep up with. I did a shoot the other day with, and I got Murray from Creek Run Media.
Yeah,
dude, he's so good. He killed it. And he started dropping some tech specs. I'm like, oh man, I can't keep up. I gave up on tech specs. I mean, like I know what I need to know, but like he was saying like bit rates of like certain codecs. I'm like, oh, I got no idea, man. Like I just use the highest quality codec that the camera shoots and just deal with all the data. Yeah. Yep. It's so not super tech. Don't care too like I'm always chasing like the perfect camera because they're constantly like evolving in size and codecs and pros and cons. I'm sort of chasing that one camera. Well, particularly for the bike stuff, like I want, like I'm shooting everything at the moment on a C300 Mark III, but it's a little bit big and clunky and stuff. And there's the Canon C70 which came out a little while ago, which is pretty much the same camera, albeit a few little sort of cons. But that's the one I'm probably going to go to next, just because it's smaller form factor and kind of does the same thing. But there's also potentially another camera there's like a C70 Mark II or a C50 they're talking about, which is the same camera again, but maybe in a smaller form factor, which is pretty appetizing also. But then after the shoot on the weekend, Murray's Sony FX6 was blowing me away with its shit. So I don't know. Never been a Sony guy though, so I'll just stay away from Sonys.
We've got everything for Canon. Like
yeah, it's a nightmare if I had to change.
Like
it's already a nightmare the EF to RF thing. Like they're pretty much phasing out EF lenses, and I'm just like, fucking, I don't really want to start buying RF stuff because it's super expensive. But I've got heaps of EF glass, and I just don't know what to do.
And there's no adapter or anything yet either. Like,
there's adapters for the Canon stuff. So like from EF to RF, there's adapters. And the good thing about them is that on the R5, which is like the sort of mirrorless, one of the newer mirrorless Canons, it's got a big enough space for a variable ND inside it. So you have this adapter that goes from, so you got this little ND wheel inside of it, which usually don't get on DSLR, which is very, very convenient.
Yeah. A lot of people could use that.
Instead of shooting at F22 and just fucking everything sharp. A few of them getting around.
The FX3 from Sony is pretty sick because it's just a tiny little.
Yeah.
I like small cameras. Like I can't. I see Fletcher carting around his stuff sometimes. Like, dude, it's so much kit.
It gets to a stage where it like not hinders, but it does hinder. But it's just like it makes me frustrated with the doing what I love doing. Like I've got too many things in my bag, and I've got to pack down the camera to get it into the bag to move to the next spot, or sometimes I wish I just had one camera and one lens. That's all I had, because I'd have more fun probably, because I'd just I don't have any other lenses, so I'm not going to go change lenses. So you might be doing a shot, and you're like, I wish it looked better on the 7200. I should go get that. I've got the 50mm, but maybe a bit tighter, and then you go get that, and you're then something else happens. I should have been on the wide. Should have gone back to the wide. It's it hurts my head and makes the process not that enjoyable. So I'm the same. I wish I had a smaller camera. I wish I could handle not shooting on primes and nicer lenses, because I would just shoot on a basic zoom lens and be done with it. But I like the look of sort of primes and other stuff like that more.
It's hard to go past that prime that prime look for video, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
It is harder I'm guessing it's harder for mountain biking though, because
a little bit.
You can't just adjust it on the fly, right? You got to set up a whole new shot.
Yeah, or you can move. My notifications coming through the speakers, or just come through my ears.
So it's come through your ears.
Good. And back on. So to an extent, you can't just zoom in a little bit. You either move your body closer or change lenses. But you can make it work. You can sort of, bit of play. I mean, obviously shooting everything in 4K or above these days, and generally, I usually always finish in 1080 anyway, because it's just going online. So I usually have all that room to play with anyway. So it's not really a huge concern if you shoot a bit wider and punch in.
Are you shooting tripod or handheld? For mountain bike stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I was always a big tripod guy when I was shooting, with a servo lens that you could zoom in and out when I was in the snow stuff. I was that sort of skate look where you're panning and zooming at the same time, which people do in mountain bike stuff. Looks awesome too. It's usually more handheld though. I'd been big on tripods, and now I'm sort of getting a bit away from them. I still use them when the lens is if I'm shooting at 200mm and I'm trying to follow someone, I usually have the tripod. But for the most part, handheld. I use a Cine saddle pretty much for everything. So that's that is the best tool I've ever purchased. I recently purchased one of those SAC ones that no doubt if you're a film media guy, you would have seen SAC ads on Instagram. They don't pop up in your feed.
Oh, everywhere, mate.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I feel like there needs to be a function on any of that kind of shit where you can just say, okay, guys, the algorithm worked. I bought the product. Can you stop fucking marketing to me? Because I've bought it. I'm stoked that I bought it. I don't want to see the ads for it every 6 posts comes up. So
I think you can.
You can. Fuck, how? Tell me, because
I'll show you. I think you can just click on the ad and say, don't show this marketing stuff on Instagram anymore.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, there was a lot of dudes holding their sacks on Instagram for a long time.
It's a sack holding. But that is my number one recommendation for a product is a cine saddle, the sack, like whatever brand you get, they are the best thing ever. I use it on every single shoot, almost for every shot. If I'm not on sticks or the gimbal, it's on the cine saddle. Yeah.
Is it make that much of a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah, just sort of like, because it's sort of like, it goes over your shoulder and it sits sort of like, kind of, you have it high, so it's kind of like puts the camera like right on your chin. And because you kind of like put both hands onto it and clasp it with your body, and then you're still holding the camera, it's like this, you're just creating this little beautiful little cradle in your arms with your camera in it. It's nice, and it's like holding a baby. And you can still, like, you've got the flexibility to kind of do anything, like the whip pan, like, you know, to move fast, but it's just sort of putting, and it takes the weight off a little bit as well. But I'm a big fan of like real, like shaky cam, kind of like, I mean, everyone does that as well, but like just, I feel like it's kind of like one of the only activities, like, it doesn't really work in skating. It doesn't really work in snowboarding, but like real aggressive, like pushing towards someone as they're coming towards you, like shaky towards them. Fuck, it's the best thing in mountain biking. I love it. And then slow shutter stuff with that as well. Same kind of thing. It's just super cool. Love it.
Yeah, that's my next experiment is slow shutter, which I've thought,
we did some stuff the other night. Did a shoot for Fox with Mikey Ross at his compound. And we set up some sick lights, or just some like RGB tube lights in front of a digger after we'd finished riding, and like just drag the shutter like crazy. And it was just the funnest little shoot for like, we just had a little bit of time with like, I was just get some product stuff, and yeah, it looks so epic. Can't wait to get it out there.
How good is shooting with Mikey Ross? It's the funnest thing ever.
Such a good dude. It's the most like quiet, sort of humble dude, just like super down for it. Yeah, just kills it.
Well, how do you kind of go about organizing a shoot like that or something for a company? Is it coming from the athlete or coming from you?
For me, usually I'd contact the athlete and say, hey, I want to do a shoot. And like my sort of approach has more been, only because I haven't been going, like I don't go to all the events, and I don't really, like I've only been into this sort of thing for 3 or 4 years, so I don't really know. I don't have the back relationships that everyone's got over growing up racing together over all these years. But so I've just been like cold contacting people on Instagram and saying, hey, love your shit, want to work with you. And then, yeah, whether that gets like picked up by a brand or like, usually that would be the first thing I said, like, hey, can we, especially for Mikey when it was like going up to Canberra and the, you know, flights are involved and stuff, I'm like, is there any, you know, way we can get a brand to pay for this? And he's like, oh, Fox might be down for something. They always need shit for XYZ, and ended up being able to sort of go, what do you guys need? I want to do this shoot with Mikey and I'm going to be up there with all my stuff. Can I do something for you? And then I get paid to sort of do the thing I want to do as well. That's sort of been the way I'm sort of approaching it, is like try and get brand, like I've got like lots of ideas and lots of things I want to shoot with people. It's just figuring out a way for a brand to pay for the hard cost of that, and then they benefit from it. I get to do it, and then hopefully one day they realise that Stu's actually investing heaps of time and money that we're not paying him for on top of that. Maybe we should pay him the actual cost that it costs to make. One day maybe.
Do you think there's a disconnect with what it takes to make what you're making and the time? Yeah. Because they see some of those kids or those crew that are trying to make it doing stuff for free, which is sick. Like, cool, do whatever, get your way in. But do they is it making that disconnect between what you're putting out and the money involved and the time?
I think so. Like, it doesn't help. And you don't want to discourage people from doing that stuff because like they've got to get into the industry somehow, so they've got to be doing stuff. You kind of sometimes have to do stuff for free, especially if you're not like coming from having experience in the corporate world or commercial world. You learn from there, and then you bring it over here. Like you're like starting filmmaking, and all you care about is bike stuff. Like you're going to be like, oh, Fox wants to let me do a job for a few jerseys. Oh, hell yeah, I'll do that. Like I don't want to squash people doing that because that's genuinely the way that they can do it. But yeah, it's definitely making it. Well, it just gives brands the opportunity to go, oh, we'll probably be able to get old mate or young mate to do it for next to nothing. He'll do a pretty good job too. So that's fine. Or they just sort of don't see the difference between what we might do or what he might do, kind of thing, because they look kind of the same. There's only we found this like in the wedding game as well. We did a lot of weddings growing up, and like that was probably where I cut my teeth filming the most, is like filming weddings, because you're just forced to film for multiple days in a row, 8 hours, 10 hours straight. You just get good at filming from doing that. But like I would say, like people would be like, well, why do we pay you $5,000 for what you offer, and this guy does it for $1,000? I'm like, well, if you can't see the difference between that and that, then definitely go for the $1,000 job. Like, why would you pay more money if you can't tell the difference? Yeah, so it's like maybe they just can't see it. But I think that not like, because people are willing to do it for free or product or whatever, that no one really has a really good idea until you actually try and do it for yourself, what goes into it. Like, yeah, it's a day, it might be an afternoon of filming or a day of filming. And yeah, if you did it in one sitting, it might be 15 hours or 25 hours of post, like 2 or 3 days. But like, it's not that. Like, it's thinking about how you want to do it and what you want to do, whether there's lighting involved, figuring all that shit out, and then planning for it, gearing up, getting everything ready. Like, that's, there's so much time involved in just prepping for that kind of shit. And then post-production side of things, like, yeah, it might take 10 to 20 hours, but usually you can't just do that in one solid block. Usually you have to, like, you do a bit, you sit with it. Like I do anyway. Like, that's my process. I'll do the first part of an edit, and when I'm leaving that day, I'll like export that and I'll upload it and get it on my phone. And like that night, I'll just kind of watch it a few times and go, yeah, I kind of like that, what I did there, or I kind of hate that, or like, let's change that. So like, and there's that, and then sometimes you go back and change things. It's not, you don't just make a sick edit the first go you have it either. Like, it takes, sometimes you get to the end and go, oh, actually, I probably should have done a different song. And then you go back and try and start again.
Yeah.
It's fine when you say it for yourself. It's not fine when the client tells you that you got to change the song. That's not on.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, I'm the same, like that same process of, so I did like a little Everest video with a mate, and that was, I think, 12-15 minute long thing.
Yeah.
And that was, cut it down to 25 minutes and then watched the whole thing and cut it down again, and then waited like 2 or 3 days and then watched it again just to see what it's like without the memory of what you did. Like, it takes time to actually get that editing process down and whittle things down, right?
Definitely. And it's so for me based on like mood as well. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I can't, if I actually like doing this right now, I'm not in a creative space. Or like, if I come in here, like I'm in the office at the moment, like if I'm in here and there's other stuff going on, other projects, I struggle to do it. Or if I try and do it at home, and yeah, it's not easy to, like, and it's kind of the way I partner up with my business partner, is like, I'm really into shooting, not really into editing. Yeah. And he's really into editing, or he was back then. And he's like, well, I'll just do all the edits, you do the shoots, I don't have to do the shoots. That was good. So like, I'm not an editor. I'm not professed to be. Up until maybe 2 years ago, all the Bikebot edits were done by this guy, Brendan, who worked for us for a long, long time. And he's an amazing editor. I learned so much from him just from the years he was with us. But now I'm just kind of forced to do them because I don't have anyone else to do them for me. So it's hard. It's hard work. I wish it was easy. I wish it was easy.
How many songs have been ruined by editing?
Oh, all of them. All of them. Every song that you edit to, you're like, I don't want to hear that song ever again. Yeah.
You get a nervous twitch when you hear it. You start shaking.
Yeah. Flashbacks from Nam shit. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, a lot goes into it that people don't think about. And yeah, it's not just an easy process for sure.
Do you do your own color correction and stuff, or you got someone doing that?
No, I do all that stuff too. Yeah. I'm again not really that savvy on that stuff, but I do. Works out right in the end, I guess. I do the bare minimum. But like, a lot of the stuff, again, like up until a couple of years ago, was done by Brendan. Usually did most of it. And then I've been doing it since then.
How did
time consuming? Yeah.
While we talk about color correction, but how did the idea for that Illume shoot you did with Luke Parker come about? Because that was sick.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I was stoked with that. I don't know. Like, I think I'd always wanted to do something like that. And I actually feel I've actually got something in the works with Luke again where I want to do the same thing kind of, but how I really wanted to do it. So yeah, like I always love playing with like colored lights and stuff. Like I'm so into that kind of thing. I've always wanted to do it with like bike and skate stuff and never really had a good reason to. And always been a huge fan of the Red Bull Loom comp and all the like ridiculous photos that come out of that place every year. So it's mind boggling how good people are. And I was like, oh, this, I didn't realize that they'd done it last year because like last year was the first year they did a video component. I was like, sick, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it this year. And when it got released, I was like, sweet, I'll just figure it out. And I'd been talking to Luke about, or I'd shot something with him a couple of weeks before, and I hit him up again. I'm like, hey, let's do something for this. And explain to him what I wanted to do. But I don't know, I think it was not really a specific idea other than just want it to be super dark and all you can see is the rider. I don't want to see the ground at all, ever. It can just be jumped on the resi and it's fine. But the reason like I wasn't totally stoked and wanted to kind of do it again was that at Ramp Fest it was I didn't have a big enough light to essentially make everything else so dark. Like if I had a light that was 3 times as powerful, everything else would have been so dark it wouldn't matter. But because all the walls are lined in that kind of like, I don't even know what it's called, it's like silver insulation stuff. It's like whatever that shit is. It's just, if you look up too much, you see the roof and it reflects all the lights really bad. So only really one particular shot worked really good, which was sort of straight down the line at him, which was fine because it was like there's a lot of depth and you couldn't see the background. But he's building like a just a single jump at his parents' house. That's sort of out in the bush. So it'll make it a lot easier to make it proper dark out there. But yeah, so we shot that. It was like a maybe 4-hour shoot at Ramp Fest. I reckon he probably hit it like 100 times. Where we've tried to figure out. I think it took ages for us to figure out the balance between lighting it right and him being able to see okay enough to still.
I'm going to ask how that worked.
Yeah, yeah. Because the light we're using was quite a powerful light. We could still have other little lights on that were made it light enough for him to see what he was doing. But like some tricks he'd like look towards the big light and that was like pretty distracting because it was just blasting him. And then trying to get enough level out of the coloured lights that made all the colour pops was kind of like a bit of a balance. So by the time we got that totally figured out, he was like, I'm pretty knackered. I'm like, oh, like, is it weird if I say that everything else has been a little bit shit up until now, so we have to start doing it now? And he was cool with that. Yeah, but we ended up getting some good stuff in the end. Lenny was like, Galen Slaney was there as well, so we were filming some stuff.
Was he sick?
Yeah. I did like a little edit with him and Luke in it a bit later. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I didn't expect it to go so far, but it was cool that it did. I was just chuffed that it got in the first. So the first round of 25 was selected by Red Bull judges, which is like, oh, this is amazing. That's fucking cool as. But then from then on, it was a spruiking crowd voting scenario. So like, I probably spammed you and said, hey, Darren, fucking vote for my video because I really wanted to go far in this thing. So it was kind of a little bit shit that you had to like, as a glorified popularity contest, or whoever was willing to spruik it the hardest was probably going to win. But hey, the Australian mountain bike community got behind me pretty hard, and it got it through to the next round. It's just we didn't take the top spot, unfortunately. There was don't know. But the deal was that you get to go to Austria for the awards show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, super keen to do that. And then the dates were like a little bit shit. And I had like a concert I really wanted to go to on the night before. And I wasn't sure like if it was, or not the night before, like the night before I'd have to travel.
Yeah.
And I ended up like late in the game saying, oh yeah, it's all like paid for. Like, once you get here, everything's, accommodation, food. Like it's a 3-day festival where you do like workshops with camera stuff. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And like, look, it's still like a $3,000 flight, $3.5 flight, and I could only even be there for like 24 hours. I'd have to fly for 24, be there for 24, fly for 24. So I ended up just not going on. So maybe that's why I didn't win, because I wasn't there to receive the prize. Maybe. Who knows?
It must have been it's pretty cool shooting with Luke, but he's a bit of a perfectionist, right? Like he would have his own
definitely.
level of what he wants to get right.
Yeah, no. Well, he was actually pretty chill about it. Like he was
okay.
yeah, like a good, again, just a super chill, humble dude that just absolutely kills it.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, very, very consistent.
he's an amazing bike rider, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on all, like that last video part, his BMX one was fucking crazy. And that was like
That's
what,
just like,
4 or 5 years ago now, and he was kind of like not riding that much BMX at the time.
he just put something up of him doing something stupid at Ramfest the other day, like a line. And
Yeah.
like every single trick, you're just like, that shouldn't be possible on its own. And he just threw it
Mm.
together in a line. Like,
Yeah.
very
Crazy.
underrated.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is there a reason you work a lot with the free ride slopestyle guys? Or is it?
Um, no, not really. Like I'm like just passionate about that kind of riding. Really like that kind of riding. I guess coming from sort of like like being into BMX stuff earlier on, more into that than racing side of things. Um, it's also like a lot easier to film.
Yeah.
Like generally speaking, it's all in the one area, and like filming any kind of trail riding or downhill stuff, you're moving around so much. There's heaps of hiking involved. Like if you walk down and go, I'm going to shoot from here, and that turns out not being the best angle, you're like, fuck, I don't want to walk all the way back up there for the shot. Maybe I'll like end up sacrificing because of
Yeah.
fatigued and during that part of the day, or like for whatever reason. Like there's a lot of effort in, like I remember doing a couple of like shoots at Bulla, and it was just like 2 days of just like running up and down the hill, and like it's just a nightmare. Like yeah, so convenience of being able to, and obviously with the stuff I did with Mikey recently, and then the stuff with Luke at Rampfest, like I would rather do that kind of high production value with lighting and stuff than I would just a regular
Mm.
sort of riding video, because I'm really into that kind of stuff. And that just gets an extra level of hard if you're trying to do it out on a trail or out on location somewhere. And but yeah, I guess it's probably just as much as I like that kind of riding. Not more. Like I don't personally like to do it. I'm into it.
I remember the
Like a
first
shitter.
time I went and shot like Highline. It was 2 years ago for the slope contest. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, it's so damn easy to shoot this stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I haven't walked
yeah,
anywhere near as much as what I
yeah.
usually would. And then you
Mhm.
go film in nationals at Medina, and you can't walk by the end of the week.
Yeah, yeah. And like you just don't get anywhere near as much good content because like you really only see like yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you, the one fast rider comes fast, and you're like, God damn it, that was
and missed him.
shocking. And then you got to wait
Yeah.
3 hours for them to come around.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely did shooting that kind of stuff. Like that kind of I did a couple of gigs for like Reckless and stuff
sick.
during the last Vic DH series, and I was like, oh, that's not really for me either. Like, I mean, like I can do it and I don't mind it, but I'd much rather sink into a project where I can take my lights or, have full control over what's happening as opposed to just filming racing content. Like, I don't
Mm.
mind doing it because I like being in that environment and hanging out with those kind of people. And yeah, it's good. It's good for a lot of reasons, but it's not the kind of filming I'm into. Like, it feels more like a job, whereas the stuff I did with Michael Luke, it's like, well,
Mm.
yeah, I would do that. Well, I was gonna say, I'll do that if no one paid me. I pretty much did that because no one paid me. Like I wanted to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's what's happening with Notion? The Notion jam.
Ah, yes, yes. So that is a jam that myself and Baxter and Rowan, the guy who owns the property, are going to
Mm-hmm.
host down in Taz on the Tuesday, Wednesday after Hardline finishes. So there'll be the Sunday off. I think there's something at Maydeen on Sunday, but then Monday off, and then the Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's like we've got a pretty stacked list of people that are confirmed. Like a lot of, pretty much all the big dog Aussie and New Zealand guys are, well, not as many New Zealand guys are confirmed, but we've still got a lot of the sort of the really big names that are like, yeah, I'm keen. I just got to suss this out. So it's not. Hopefully, by the time this actually airs, I'll be eating my words and they're all locked in because that'll make it a great success. But it's going to be pretty exciting. So basically, it's just going to be like a 2-day event. It's like it's a private event at this point. There's talk of maybe opening up to public on one day, which could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, because we need to try and fund it. So it's quite funny the way it happened. Like I think, like I've been working on a couple of projects with Baxter. and we've been working on this longer form one where we sort of follow him from when he crashed in Cairns last year, or sorry, not us following him, but following the journey of he's been through since his season last year in Queensland where he was killing it, and then Cairns crash, and then him coming back. And we went down to Medina recently to film kind of like the Ender riding section to that, and got some good stuff and like got a sick edit. But then we decided that, hey, considering he's now got a start on Hardline, and what's that?
He's got a start on.
Yeah, like he's on the start list.
Yeah, okay. I thought he was an alternate.
No, he's a start on and Wales as well.
Oh, really? Sick.
He's doing both, yeah. And recently, because of like Darcy fucking himself, now he's in the digger doing all the work too.
Poor Darcy, man.
Oh no, I feel so sorry for him, dude. Like that, like talk about just being right in the crest of something so fucking epic, and then that happening.
Oh,
it's brutal.
Yeah,
brutal. So yeah, we're doing this, and then we realised we're like, hey, we probably should, because we've got this Jam and Hardline, and then Cairns and like Roto, and then Cairns around the corner. We probably should just hold off and just gather footage from the whole 12 months, and then basically do a long form, or like a short form doco. This is after I put together like an 18-minute cut from what we decided we were going to do. So like I'd already cut this or bare bones the actual doco, and then we're like, oh, maybe we should just like leave it. I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm releasing the edit we shot in Medina then. So I'm working on that currently.
Yeah,
that should be out pretty soon. But yeah, along that journey we've been talking about trying to just do something at the Notion property, because we're like, oh, it's so sick, and he wasn't stoked with the last project, but like he's like, oh, I want to like do more with it because it exists there and it's amazing, but I still got more things I want to do there. So we talked about like trying to get many riders there, and it just kind of like eventually grew into, oh, we're actually putting on a proper event now. And about 4 weeks ago, when the Hardline list came out, we're like, well, we kind of have to commit to this now, because all these people that we want to come, they're going to be booking flights and stuff. So we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sort of back to talk to a few guys that have done those sort of bigger like Dark Fest kind of things, and they're like, what do you guys as pro riders expect from coming for these events? And they're like, well, we expect to like have accommodation to stay, like a place to stay, food, and maybe medics on site, and travel, like getting to and from the event. Like if we can come and be looked after and just come to ride and have no real cost, then generally, yeah, we'd love to come do it. So we're like, okay, we have to sort of commit to those costs, which so we agreed to do 30 riders, and we've worked out that's roughly like about 10-12 grand to just do the sort of hard costs of getting everyone there.
Yeah, right.
Accommodation, medics, food, and then so we're like, okay, if it doesn't work out, we can't get sponsors on board or whatever, that's sort of like what we're up for. And basically the reason I want to do it is because obviously I want to film and make sick stuff from it. Like that's my main priority. That's the only reason I'm doing it. I'm like, well, maybe I can use the access I've got to these riders and the brands to obviously get in with the brands and get more work through that, but sell sort of content sponsorship packages. Like you come on board for a couple of grand, and I'll give you all these specific edits from all this footage of your riders at the event. So it's like, it's sort of like a big, content making machine, but with also the, sweet bonus of getting in with these riders and these brands and hopefully transitioning into doing bigger, more international stuff with those guys. So yeah, like Baxter's sort of taking care of all of the, obviously getting the property back to running. Like we went out there the other day, and it's like 6 foot high weeds and yeah, like just destroyed as that happens with those kind of things. So he's been out there like slaving away in the digger and on the tools. Like Kevin's seen posts of like, got all the boys down there like Tom Mallet and stuff all helping. So
yeah, I saw that. That's wild.
Yeah, so that's all real cool. And then I'm sort of like more trying to sell the sponsorship packages and figure out ways to make the money back. Really, I've done all these proposals, and I'm like, if we sell every one of these proposals, I'm like signing on for like 120 different edits. Like a lot of them are like sort of, you'll get 10, 15 second edits that might be like 3 clips and a sponsorship sort of Spono logo and then our logo at the end. But the way I see it, it's like even if like everything that goes out is going to have my logo on it. So even if I don't get paid much to do that, or don't get paid
Mm,
anything to do that, but just get to host this event without it costing me money, then it's a pretty good marketing experience. And even if it costs me a little bit of money and my time to do all the post, um, but yeah, so that's sort of happening, and that didn't really include the costing. There didn't really include me filming it and the guys that I want to take to film it, and then yeah, the posts as well. So I've sort of like I've assembled a bit of a super team of all the guys in Australia. I think are amazing. They're gonna come shoot it with me. So there's like Sam Purdy, Andrew
sick,
Hardy, Jasper,
sick.
and Riley Matthews and Campbell Jam are
Mm-hmm.
coming, and then we've got a few photographers on board as well. I think Riley's going to shoot photos, maybe. Eduardo's going to come down,
Sick. Good.
and this really good FPV. Well, with the FPV side of things, we haven't really totally figured out yet, but yeah, so it's going to be a bit of a super team of people filming and all contributing to the main sort of event videos, and yeah, it's going to be sick. Like this is sort of like when we originally teamed up with Baxter, or when I like sort of reached out to him. Basically, I sort of said, hey, like my goal with Bikebot is to basically be Revel Co, like seminar, and
Mm,
like
yeah.
just basically making specific builds for projects kind of thing. And he's like, well, that's kind of what I want to. I'm like, well, sick, this works great. Let's just be friends and make stuff together. So, do
Are we best friends now?
you want to go do karate in the garage? Yes. I watched that the other day. It's funny as shit.
Love that move.
Um, so good. So yeah, like that's the goal with Baxter and Bikebot teaming up, is just trying to try, and then like we had this project was going to be like it's evolved so many times based on his schedule and based on what's happening and all this kind of shit. But we were going to do this special build at Barjag out near like Mansfield. We are going to go out there, and he was
Yeah,
going to
right.
build a bunch of crazy features. Well, your autofocus is going crazy right now. You got to cut to your
Ah,
camera in the edit because it's going whoa 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 whoa.
it's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna do this thing at Barjag. We went out there and like recce'd it and made some plans, and then he's like, "Oh, I've got no money. I can't commit to building for 2 weeks for no money. I'm gonna have to go to Medina to get a job." So he just left to Medina. I'm like, "Okay, well we'll just go down there and we'll film the ender part to this project down there." But yeah, that's where we want to take it. Like, is ideally, and originally it wasn't going to be like a jam thing. It was just like we want to make a special, like a
Mm,
specific, can't say specific, a special build jump line kind of thing, and then film a video project on it. But like, well, now that it exists, we should have a jam on it as well and invite other filmmakers and other writers to come and benefit from it. So that's sort of like going forward what we're going to try and achieve, and hopefully this is sort of like the first step to that, which could be cool.
I'm
Hope.
almost more hyped on the crew that you just mentioned for the media stuff. Like, as a
Yeah.
as a media
That's,
nerd, I'm just like, this is gonna be sick.
yeah, hopefully it should be sick. And I got this cable cam, bought this cable cam for mate a couple of months ago. I've been so busy, I haven't even really tested it. And every time I've gone out to try and like string it between three trees, I've realised all these things I didn't really know about rigging that I've got to try and learn, and got to learn how to climb trees better and rig stuff. And so the intention is to have that down there, but I've definitely bitten off more than I can chew with the whole event and all the preparation that's going into it. So there's a chance that might not come down, but we'll see. There's definitely one too.
Well, it's good that you got Hardline on as a supporting event for that as well, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the athletes will be warmed up. But like, yeah, like it's definitely worth taking advantage of all those guys being in town. There's only a couple of those guys that are confirmed at this point. So Craig, like Brannigan, and then Craig Evans as well. Oh, and Johnny Solito is definitely
oh,
coming.
sick.
Um, Theo Ergwilson I can't pronounce his last name. He sounds like he's keen, but yeah. So there's still a lot of up in the airs, which is really annoying because I really want to lock in all the accommodation and start. If we've got spare beds for other athletes, we want to try and get other athletes in that can fill those spots.
Mm.
But Rob Warner's coming. I got told that the other day. That's cool.
Coming to the
It's a jam. Yep.
yeah, sick. Get him to
Yeah.
send something on it.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll ride, but he might.
That's rad. That's so good.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
Um, what are your thoughts on the current state of media in Australia when it comes to the events. Yeah, like say like a national series event or something like that. Like, what do you think could be kind of done better, or what are your thoughts on how everything's been promoted?
I don't know. I don't have a lot of thought. I guess that's this before. Like, I'm not really that deep into that side of things because I didn't sort of like, I haven't been around racing for a long time and haven't really been going to a lot of the events just because of,
Mhm.
corporate schedule. And then, if I have spare time, I'd rather try and invest it into doing specific projects for Bikebot that are a bit more targeted at what I want to do.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I probably don't have any. I don't want to shit can anyone. What's your take on it, Darren? What do you got?
Nah, I'm good. No,
No, no, no, no.
I think the reason I bring
I
it up is because of what you're saying with Notion makes so much sense to do for like a national series or a national champs where you have sponsor packs that include media. It's not just like, I'll
yeah,
sponsor this race because a few fast riders are coming down. Like,
yeah,
there's no single media resource or content that comes out from any national mountain bike or event really that I
yeah,
can
true.
think of. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I do.
just blows my mind. Like, they don't just hire like a filmer and an editor to come down and smash out a solid recap video.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. Yeah, there was some stuff I remember seeing you posting it yesterday from the first national round at, down Hobart Way.
yeah,
Some actual decent content coming out.
um, yeah, Noah Davidson, yeah, he's doing some
Yeah.
cool
Oh
stuff
yeah.
with it,
Nos knows.
but still, like, guaranteed, he's not getting paid anything to do that. Like, I don't know, but I think
That's
it could
definitely
just be
the.
better quality content with like maybe a presenter or someone and just going through what's happening.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's definitely something I can comment on that. This is sort of because I've been trying to get better paid jobs for those kind of events. 'Cause I'm like, well, then it's worth my time going, and I can
Mm,
justify it a bit more. But seemingly, there's not a lot of it's pretty cutthroat. Like again, because there's a lot of young dudes that are keen to do it for not much money. Like it's pretty cutthroat to get a job for content. But like, yeah, I definitely want to move more into like maybe Bikebot starts to cover that stuff, but I more produce it and
mm,
organize filmers, like organize with brands to get a filmer to go to the thing, and then the post comes back through us, and it's sort of a bit more formalized. Unionizing the media is what I'm going to say. Like, going to get everyone signs on the dotted line and agrees to only work for one rate, and then we can all get really good rates. That'd be cool.
that'd be good.
Yeah,
Mechanics should have done that a long time ago.
yeah.
Um, but it still
And then we
just kind of
do,
makes sense.
yeah. And then we have like what do you call them? Where you down tools and no one works. What do you call
Strike.
it? Yeah, we strike. We strike until our terms are met.
Well, we just go to the pub.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We still go to the event. We just spend the time at the pub. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
So
idea.
nothing changed really, at the end of
No, no,
that.
no, exactly.
um,
We lost more money. Yeah, look,
yeah, I
there
think.
definitely needs to be a bit more, yeah, structure to it for those
Mm,
events as well. I mean, I see people doing great stuff. Like so many people like do awesome coverage of those kind of events, like Ty Bowmaker Captivate. He does
oh,
awesome
dude.
shit of
Yeah.
events. Like he kills it.
Yeah.
Um, who else? Like, yeah, well, Stagsy obviously
Mm,
dominates events. Like, yeah, just there's good shit coming out, but yeah, it's only really it might just be targeted to one brand. There's no sort of like unified the events
yeah.
coverage. Yeah, it's always just like Stags be doing darker stuff or like whatever work you can pick
Yeah.
up. All those guys will be doing that stuff for one brand. So one brand has epic shit, and then yeah, like it's just a
Yeah.
bit all over the place. Yeah.
We might start wrapping things up a little bit here, if that's cool with you.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah.
what advice would you have to anyone who wants to get into filming or start producing their own media, or etc., working with bigger companies? I guess.
Uh, yeah, just shoot anything and everything. Like, probably don't spend all your time shooting mountain biking. Like, go out and try and find other shit because you probably learn more about filmmaking and like the light and all the kind of shit you actually should know from not filming mountain bike. It's easy to bring that knowledge back into the action sports space or whatever, but it's not that easy to learn it in that space. Like
Mm.
being out in the forest and shooting racing, like content for racing, is not really, you don't learn a lot other than how to shoot racing really good. But if you go on, I don't want to say go shoot weddings, but it is a good way to, like, there's heaps of work, pays really good, um, and you do a lot of filming, so it's like a good place to learn.
Mm.
Um,
Good money.
but yeah, just like, yeah, good money. Yeah. Well, again, it was one of those things that I was really in it in the heyday about 4 or 5 years ago. It's really like it's blown up. There's so many people doing it, and there's so like people
Yeah.
like we used to charge like 5 grand for like a 6 minute video for one person for 8 hours. Now it's like $1,500 will get you two people for 12 hours, and they'll give you a 60-minute video. And it's just like,
Mm.
oh, I can't compete with that. Um, but yeah, I think just film just film everything. Just make shit. Don't make shit because you like don't only make stuff to get paid. Do it because yeah, just I guess working on spec stuff. Like yeah, you might do a video for a brand, but it doesn't need they don't need to be paying you for it. It's a good way to kind of like get in with people and go, hey, I made this cool thing. Check it out. I'm
Mm.
actually really good, kind of thing. But yeah, I just say just keep shooting. But I don't have any like. I'm still as far as in this industry, like still pretty green about getting in with brands and like how to like I've sort of
Mm.
just done. I've kind of gone because I've got the background that I've got. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to make something cool with Luke or
Mm.
with whoever. That will get me with the brand because they'll see it and go, who did that? Stu did that. Bikebot did that. Let's get them involved. So yeah, like I think that's probably a better way. Well, that's the only way I know to get in. Like probably other people have better ways because they go to races and hang out with everyone in the pits, but that's not where I've been, unfortunately.
I'm a
So terrible
huge
advice. I don't know. Yeah, what advice I give then? I don't know.
I'm a huge fan of that. Just go on and shoot whatever. Like,
Yeah,
shooting road, shooting gym stuff, shooting just random stuff is just good fun. Like,
mm.
and
Play with lights too. Playing
yeah,
with lights is important. I think. Like I didn't do that a lot at the start. I was like, I only like natural light stuff, not even really knowing what I was actually saying. Um, yeah, play with lights and figure that shit out. If you figure that shit out early, everything else gets so much easier, and your stuff looks better because you actually understand what's going on.
mm. And you
Yeah,
can do a lot of stuff with the ghetto setup. Like, you don't need to constantly.
definitely. Yeah, you only need one light, two lights, and you can do so much cool shit.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
$60 at Bunnings will get you two
yeah,
lights, that USB rechargeable,
yeah, and you can
and
fuck around with them forever.
yeah, shooting bottle of lube. You don't need fucking giant
Yeah,
lights. Like,
yeah.
yeah, sick. Is there anything you would have done differently up till now?
Well, yeah, I wish I got into filmmaking earlier.
Mm.
Definitely. I'm bummed about that. That's right. Not bummed about my life journey so far. Um,
Seems to be working out for you.
yeah, it's going all right. Oh, I wish I started filming bikes earlier. I wish I like had have realized. I reckon I probably had this like 5 to 8 year hiatus of not filming any action sports, like skating or snowboarding or whatever. Like I stopped snowboarding at the end of the snowboarding and went, I'm only going to do corporate stuff because that's where the money is, and
Mm.
I'll find ways to make me happy, and I couldn't. And then when I got back into filming bikes, it made me super happy. So I wish I had have not had that sort of. I guess it's the most boring advice, but like yeah, find what you're passionate about
Mm.
and shoot that. Yeah, because then it doesn't feel like it's definitely not a job. It's fun. Like
Mm.
that's all I do. I always say if like I won the lottery, all I'd do is do bike bot stuff. I'd still just film bikes all the time. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
I just make ridiculous shit with super high budgets.
Um, and last question that kind of gets everyone, and I think this might be interesting from you, but like if you're running low on motivation or you're tired on a shoot or something, is there anything you do to get motivated, or is there any music you like to listen to and kind of ramps you up for something to get something done?
That's a good question. Don't know. No, not really. Like I'm motivated by like what other people are doing and like inspired by other people, whether it's like other Australian dudes like or other international filmers and stuff. Like that's how I get motivated to do new shit is when I see other people doing something like, oh, I want to do that. And whether it's like directly copying him because I just want to be the person that holds the camera and films that shot, or it's like, oh, I like that, I'm going to do it my
Mhm.
way. That's kind of like what gets me going. But I don't know about mid shoot. Should probably have another coffee or something. Yeah, I've got, I
Just on
don't
those
know.
Red Bulls. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, just yeah, definitely inspired by other filmmakers and stuff. That's probably what gets me motivated.
I know I said it was the last question, but I need to ask this.
That's all right.
If you're looking at other people's stuff to get motivated, do you ever find that comparison to be like the thief of joy, that cliche thing? Do you ever get kind of compare yourself to another filmer and go, oh, I'm not even in this league anymore? Or,
Yeah, definitely. There's no there's no way around that. Um, yeah, constantly. But I think it also works as a bit of a drive too. You're like fuck, that guy's real good. I love all that guy's stuff, and then you'd see something you've done. You're like, oh, actually, probably someone was looking at that and going, oh, that's the sickest thing I've
mm,
ever seen. I wish I was doing that. So like, yeah, I definitely like riddled with self doubt and like lack of self confidence all the time. And yeah, a lot of the time watching other people's shit, I just go, well, fucking, I'm nothing. Why do I even bother?
yep. Cameras
Yeah,
straight onto Gumtree. Yep.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I just go make some more corporate videos to keep me going. Yeah.
Talking head video with some dude shutting a door or something. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet, man. Thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Nice.
I've seen you around events for a while now, and we've obviously chatted on Instagram, so it's good to finally sit down and have a decent chat.
Yeah, buddy, for sure. You keep up the good work.
I'll try. I'll try.
Are you going over to Taz at all? Are you going over to Taz for Hut? No.
No trips
Why
this year.
not? Oh,
I'm
bummer.
extremely tight on cash
Yeah.
from the last 6 months. So yeah,
Yeah.
no trips this year. Uh,
Bummer.
build everything up and do everything in 25.
Nice.
I think it
Yeah.
will be a big year in 25. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Hell
no
yeah.
trips this year.
Bummer.
Yeah. That's all
What's
good.
the bike riding there?
I'll try. Definitely try.
Try.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
that's unfortunately the first thing that goes out the window for me when I'm busy is just don't ride the bike anymore. I'm just like, got the bike sitting in the shed collecting dust. And I wish I was riding more.
Yeah, 100%. I just need to get on it. And yeah, but life gets in the way. Couple of
It
weeks and it will
does.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Easy, man.
Too easy,
Well,
dude. Thank
take it
you.
easy and have an amazing weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Easy.
See you, bro.
See you, man.
Bye.
There we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Absolutely loved chatting with Stu there. If you like that episode, make sure you share it around with all your mates, review and leave a rating on whatever you're listening to podcasts on. And yeah, just tell everyone, subscribe, like on Instagram, YouTube, do all those things. Yeah, if you got any guest suggestions, make sure to send them through via Instagram DMs or good old email. Yeah, we're looking for sponsors in 2024. But huge thanks to Frank, Mountain Bike Apparel, Shred, Fist Handwear, Lead Out, Cuptech Cats, and Oakley for continuing to support the potty. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that podcast, and we'll talk to you on the next one.